Well, hello everybody, my pickles, my friends, my community. This is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food, living the keto lifestyle. Today, my carbs are at 22 because I've added some sauteed in bacon fat green beans to have with my meals. I love them, but they are kind of high in carbs. I also have a cucumber. I like a few ounces of that. I like the crunch. And then today I'm having my big A salad, which means 3 ounces of Corando ham, 1 hard-boiled egg, 2 strips of bacon chopped up in it, I think 40 grams of avocado, and 1 tablespoon of the Evu macadamia nut oil, 100 grams of the hydroponic lettuce, along with organic spring greens. And that's my dinner. My lunch is 5 ounces of ribeye, 2 fried eggs, and the green beans. So that's my fun. But that's not why you're tuned in, is it? That's not what the title said. Today is part 3 of the journey into keto. And so this is from December 2016 on. It is now October 2017, so I have been on a keto under 20 or thereabouts for about 10 months now. I came here from the low carb, high fat. If you're keeping tuned with part 1 and part 2, this is part 3, the final edition. And I called it the trap door of keto. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I mean the trap door is like trunks today in newer cars. It has the little hook that you can pull, and the trunk will pop open anytime. Anytime I can take my addict's will back, my addict Ms. Slick, I can take her will back, which is to eat carbs, sugars, artificial sweeteners, and fruits. I can take that back anytime I want. But I choose to be in my keto world with a soft circle of protection around me, and my choices I keep positive, and I keep excited about what I get to eat instead of wang about what I can't eat, or taking to all those porn sites, yes, there are keto porn sites, and seeing all the different ways that I can make SAD, Standard American Diet, wannabe items. That wasn't my intention with keto. It will never be my intention with keto. I think the closest I will come to going to having anything like I used to have would be a low-carb, high-fat sort of thing where I would have a half of a sweet potato or a baked white potato. Horrors! But that's about as close as I would come to having anything that is carby. No grains, no sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and no sugars of any kind. Just my Zyla that I put into my 2 cups of coffee per day. That's it. It just cuts the bitterness of my rocket fuel strength coffees, bulletproofed, and that's where I am. It's not a trigger for me to go onto those porn sites and Pinterest and all those places and see what I can make and pretend it's something with something like it used to be something when I was back in that carbon-fested world. No, it's not that way. So, in December, after I had been low-carb, high-fat with no sugars, grains, artificial sweeteners, diet sodas, any of those things, I'd been none of those things since low-carb, high-fat, and that had been about 15 months of doing that. So I already had done the withdrawal from those things. I was just having excess amounts of carbs in my everyday food plan, and those came in the way of veggies, too many veggies. And it's interesting that I'm getting these questions from people like, what does 20 carbs look like? How do you measure out 20 carbs? If you're not tracking and weighing, how would you know? And how would I know? So if you don't have a kitchen scale and you're not using a tracker, you can't really know, can you? I don't know, unless you just take one of those smaller tubs of like the mixed spring greens, pour it into a great big mixing bowl and add your topping, your dressing, and You know how much that is, a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3, I don't know, I'm not with you. And how many grams are in that tub of green leafies, and that's your meal. I tend to make a mixture of things in mine. And as I told this person, I take my great big salad bowl, which really looks like it's a fruit bowl for a fancy cherry table and cherry wood table in a dining room. And I take that and I put that on my kitchen scale and I set it to 0 grams. And I add 100 grams of my greens, and I add 25 grams of radicchio, 25 grams of red cabbage. I add 50 grams of chopped up celery. I add, what else goes? Oh, my 6 very small asparagus, lightly roasted, I add to that. I add my ounce of cauliflower crumbles, my ounce of feta cheese, and each time I add these items, I recalibrate the scale to say 0 ounces or 0 carbs, whichever it is that I'm measuring. And then later on, when it's getting close to presentation time, tonight, for example, I will add my 3 ounces of gently warmed ham, chopped up, my 2 strips of bacon, gently warmed up, chopped up, my hard-boiled egg, which is chopped up on top as well, and my tablespoon of the Evu macadamia nut oil. And that is what I call dinner. On the side will be my cucumber slices with some salt added to them, and I will add salt and pepper to the top of the salad, and then I just kind of mix it up and feast. And it takes a long time, and I enjoy it, and it clocks in at under 400 calories with all of those items added, and it's big, and it fills me up, and it carries me until the next day at noon, which will be tomorrow at noon. And so it's keto. That, to me, is keto-fied. It is all legitimate, measured, and tracked items to have. Keto, to me, is a way of life. I don't get wrapped up about plateaus or stalls or ketones or peeing on a stick or blowing into something. If I'm not having grains and sugars and playing, meaning, still adding standard American diet items to my keto food plan and seeing if I'm getting away with it, then I don't care about ketones and stalls and plateaus. This is my way of life. It all balances out. If I had the same big A salad, which is considered a recipe in my chronometer, if I had that last week, and then I had 2 eggs and, say, my 5 ounces of ribeye and my green beans for lunch, well, and I didn't gain 3 pounds at my Thursday morning weigh-in, then it's a keto meal. And so it works. My body fluctuates with its weight. Last week was the lowest I've ever weighed. Since I've been doing this 2-pound window of maintenance, fine with me. I didn't do anything different. I still have the same meals all the time, which is 4 to 6 ounces of a fatty protein with my big salad, with a hunk of cucumber, with green beans, and except steak night, which is Brussels sprouts, asparagus, and cauliflower crumbles. And so it all just works for me, and that's my keto food plan. Do I get bored? No. Do I get antsy? No. Do I look to keto-fy anything? No. So I'm kind of boring. So if you're looking for that roller coaster ride of like, ooh, try this recipe, you will think you're eating the real thing. Substitute the blanks for desserts from the standard American diet, or the Weight Watcher confections that you probably have in your freezer from circa 1987, because you spent $2 per frozen item, and it's ridiculous. So that's how I'm doing it. Oh, tonight I also have a tablespoon of slivered raw almonds on my big A salad. That's also in the recipe, and that still keeps it under 400. I think it clocked in at 399 calories. And the carbs were something like, I don't know, 10, 12, something like that. So as you can see, the only other thing that's going to be carby is, well, my chronometer is so meticulous and detailed that it counts eggs as 1 carb each, and heavy whipping cream as well. Then I'm adding the green beans in, so hence around 20, 22 carbs for the day. And I'm very happy with that. So with my trapdoor of keto, there is a ladder out. There is a pull cord out. I can do all of those things. I can get out anytime I want. I am free to move around the country and screw myself up as much as I want. But I don't. And if you want to be accountable, try having your own podcast. Because if you want integrity, want to have integrity, portray integrity, and live with a life filled with integrity, you need to mind your own carbs. You need to follow what you're doing. You need to have your words match your chronometer or your tracker, match your food plan, what you put in your mouth. It all has to match up. And I'm not here to giggle and say, I slipped, I fell, I had some sugar, I had that, I couldn't resist. I'm not here to do that. And I don't plan on doing that. I keep it in the day. That makes it simpler. Even though I've got the bones in my chronometer right here that say what I'm having and pretty much what my meals are saying for the rest of the week. Why? Because I have ham left over, spare ribs left over, steak left over, and I'm going to make a quiche. So I have the next 4 nights worth of meals already planned because I can open up my fridge and see. The veggies are kind of taken care of too because it's a big A salad, and it's all the ingredients, the added cucumber and asparagus and green beans, they're accounted for in there too. So when I go shopping, like I might today, it's mostly for a lot of Greg's items, as well as, what else do I have to get that's keto? Heavy whipping cream, I think some Organic Valley Munster, and some almond milks or some cashew milks. I like the cashew milk. So that's it, and it's simplified. It's hard. When you pick your hard, which was a previous video, you will see that it's when you choose to surrender. If you want to kick and scream in your straitjacket to be compliant, you can do that, or you can surrender. And I ask my higher power that I call God for help every day to keep me from the things I'm not supposed to eat, along with the things I'm not supposed to drink, along with cigarettes. And so all those things seem to work day after day. I don't take any of this for granted. I am so appreciative. And I've come to see that my skill set of discipline and structure and what may be boring to some of you is really a gift. It's a gift because I'm happy with what I have. I'm happy with what I'm eating. I'm not trying to find a shortcut. I'm not trying to find a cheat. I'm not putting together a cheat meal, a cheat day, a cheat week, a cheat anything, and then keep it from you. You know, I do what I do every day. It's on my tracker. And when some of you ask how I do what, somebody was a little snarky with me the other day, and they weren't impressed with something about me. And it's like, well, gosh, golly, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're not impressed. Move on. That's all I can say is if you're not impressed by something that I'm doing, which is pretty much level every day, you can count on me. I am here. I'm consistent. You can look for me every morning and get your juju. If this doesn't work for you, you can find other people. YouTube is loaded. Facebook pages have tons and tons of groups. Don't just, come to me and find a fault with me. What are you doing? That's usually how I end up doing it. When somebody is not impressed with me or challenges me or something, I ask them, well, what are you doing with your life? How's that working for you? I don't know. I don't know you. Especially when you don't have a name, you have a moniker, and it's just kind of funny. I love the comments here, even the snarky, challenging ones. They're kind of fun, and I try to leave them up so the rest of you can see that some people just don't want to be compliant, and they want to kind of still blame or put the responsibility onto somebody else. Like, I'm not giving them what they paid for. Oh, I'm sorry, let me refund all your money. Oh, you didn't give me any money. Well, then there's no refund. Thanks. Did I just say that? Yeah, I did. Am I going to edit it? No way. So I'm kind of snarky today because in my 12-step meeting, there was somebody that challenged me. They didn't challenge me, but I found something that they are doing inappropriate, and I haven't spoken out loud about it, and so you can tell it's in there bubbling. So I'm bringing it here to my keto family in the form of people commenting. And oops, look it, here's the phone. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye for now.